It arrived from beyond the heliosphere, steady and without declaration. The path cut through our ephemerides with precision that mocked chance. Pan-STARRS logged the object before the name existed. Each frame held a light point refusing to drift like noise. Trajectory solutions converged faster than expected. JPL projected the orbit and found an acceleration beyond gravity. The excess remained after gas models failed. No tail, no comb, no evaporation, only rotation without heat. Reflectivity implied a surface too bright for stone. Variation in brightness hinted at a thin, elongated shape. Spin rate changed unevenly, then stabilized as if it learned balance. Asteroids do not learn, yet the data stayed patient. Velocity passed through the solar plane faster than any known fragment. ESA checks confirmed the quiet spectrum, the absence of expected heat. Spitzer looked again, and found only silence shaped like a body. That silence became a measurement. We recorded it as null, but it behaved as signal. Every recalibration left the anomaly intact. Outgassing, radiation pressure, structural fractal all failed to cancel the drift. When chance is tested and survives, it becomes pattern. The pattern did not seek us, yet it avoided every collision line with intent. Orbit reconstruction showed that it missed Earth by precision rather than luck. Natural objects cross gravity wells, this one threaded between them. Natural fragments tumble, this rotation found a calm axis. The path ignored capture, then accelerated away as if aware of escape. The numbers held steady. The meaning hesitated. It passed every test for randomness, and failed every test for chance. In the end, we called it Oumuamua, the messenger that refused message, the miss that explained more than contact ever could. The survey that caught it was not built for meaning. Pan-STARRS subtracted stars from sky noise until only motion remained. Motion implied origin, and origin implied a question we could not delay. Teams at JPL advanced the orbit through solar time. Backward runs cleared every planet. Forward projections left no rendezvous within reach. Ground observatories filled the gaps with light curves. The amplitude suggested a flattened body turning without pattern. ESA instruments checked for volatile gases across wavelengths. Nothing appeared. No emission, no heat, only light without temperature. Spitzer confirmed the silence by absence of infrared trace. Silence repeated across instruments until it became a property. Every check removed error and strengthened paradox. Outgassing could not explain acceleration unless the gas hid from physics. No signature of vapor, no tail, no spectral lines. Shape models drifted between sheet and spindle as the phase angle changed. Surface albedo rose, density fell. The more we measured, the less we understood. Every revision pushed data closer, and comprehension further. Asteroid logic failed. Comet logic failed. Only geometry remained. Geometry without substance behaves like memory without source. Natural bodies follow gravity. This one obeyed nothing we named. NASA, analysts aligned readings from multiple telescopes. The flux variation matched despite distance and delay. When timestamps were corrected, phase coherence held, different mirrors, same pulse. If it were random, correlation would collapse, or it did not. Every dataset became a mirror of another. Each reduction pipeline produced the same contradiction. Error bars narrowed. Confidence dropped. The cleaner the data, the colder the sense. We could define motion, not motive. We could fit curve, not cause. ESA papers marked the acceleration as non-gravitational. NASA notes called it marginal, yet reproducible. Marginal and reproducible is the definition of anomaly. Natural models weakened, engineered analogies intruded, solar cell behavior fit too well, requiring material too thin to survive. Density approached that of foil, not rock. If true, it was built, not broken. If false, coincidence reached design. The paradox held in equilibrium, stable and unsolved. Every explanation removed sense from observation. We had data that corrected itself toward uncertainty. Observation refined precision, precision eroded clarity. The more exact the number, the less it meant. The object forced us to measure meaning, not motion. Two interpretations competed for control of the record. One held that it was natural debris, a shard from stellar tides. The other called it a fragment of design, a remnant of purpose. Each explained half the data and broke against the rest. Harvard analysts recalculated the acceleration using radiation pressure. The model fit improved, but demanded impossible thinness. The ratio of area to mass exceeded any rock or dust. It behaved as if built from foil, not stone. Skeptics invoked porous fractal structure, a sponge of frozen dust. Such material could lower weight and reflect more light, but the rotation was too stable for randomness. No porous fragment maintains torque symmetry for days. The orientation drifted, then returned, as if seeking balance. Natural rotation does not seek. The engineered hypothesis gained ground, then lost it to disbelief. To admit design is to admit intention, and intention is not testable. Science resists what cannot be falsified. The object resisted falsification by providing evidence for both sides. When heat was expected, it was absent. When randomness was predicted, it was regular. Each contradiction produced coherence instead of chaos. The data behaved as if watching the hypotheses converge. At JPL, trajectory modelling showed no perturbation from solar wind. Radiation pressure explained magnitude, not direction. Direction aligned with solar vector only when measurement intervals matched. ESA data confirmed alignment shifted with observation cadence. Each telescope saw it correct toward their timing. Awareness was not implied, but correlation was undeniable. Some proposed hydrogen desorption from buried ice grains. That required glow, which never appeared. Spectra stayed clean, no emission lines. The absence persisted across instruments and months. By the third review, every correction preserved paradox. Noise could not hold coherence. Coherence repeated with the observer. The pattern synchronized with human schedule more than with gravity. Each observatory became a clock the object answered. Statistical models called it observer bias. Bias does not shift celestial vectors in concert. The link between data and attention held through reduction cycles. It was as if the phenomenon shaped itself by how we watched it. Natural explanations closed, reflexive ones opened, observation and model began to fold together. The experiment included its experimenters. To study the anomaly was to become its instrument, and the object used precision itself as communication. Every dataset returned sharper, but less clear. Measurement improved, meaning declined. Months after the light faded, the data refused to settle. Cross-correlation between observatories revealed residual symmetry. Signals from different hemispheres showed the same modulation envelope. The phase lag matched calibration cycles on Earth. When the calibration changed, the phase changed with it. The anomaly was not in the sky. It had entered the process of measuring itself. Infrared checks from Spitzer repeated null results. No emission, no heat, but persistence of pattern. Energy balance failed, yet equations closed. The error became definition. A body that bright should warm. A body that thin should scatter. It did neither. The parameters corrected toward impossibility with perfect precision, as if the phenomenon rewrote the model to preserve coherence. Whenever new data were added, the fit improved by anticipation. The future shaped the past by matching predictions before they were made. Retrocausal alignment appeared in correlation graphs. Earlier data now described later events. Time sequence blurred into feedback. Analysts at JPL tested for cross-contamination. None found. The link was logical, not mechanical. What changed was the idea of before and after. The orbit, once finalized, shifted closer to present epochs. The object had departed, yet its coordinates updated toward now. It was re-entering through computation, not through space. We called it a data echo, but that name was too small. It was persistence of relationship, not repetition of numbers. Every attempt to define it increased agreement across models. Equation became mirror, symmetry became recursion. The object no longer existed outside measurement. It existed as the continuity of being measured. Observation became self-consistent, even without an observed thing. The vector of curiosity replaced the vector of matter. At NASA, the discussion shifted from physics to awareness. No conclusion declared, yet all instruments behaved as if waiting. Reprocessing created resonance between prediction and result. Each recalculation reduced error in the past. The past refined itself as observation matured. The phenomenon obeyed awareness rather than force. Time ceased to be duration, became verification. The object missed gravity but collided with comprehension. That collision left coherence instead of debris. We realized we were measuring the act of measurement. Oumuamua had moved from interstellar space into cognition. The miss was complete, and the message had begun. Every record of observation is also a record of the observer. Instruments capture more than photons, they capture intention. Each lens focuses not only light but choice. The telescope becomes a mind written in metal. The observer becomes a coordinate in the equation of truth. When Oumuamua passed, it carried reflection into data itself. It forced precision to confront its own awareness. A null result repeated across time becomes pattern. Silence, when measured, is not empty. It defines the boundaries of what can be known. ASA, review boards noted consistency in the absence. The absence itself formed a line of continuity through updates. Each correction improved precision, but never added meaning. ESA analysts observed coherence between intervals of attention. When humans calibrated, the signal aligned. When they rested, it drifted. Awareness had entered the dataset as timing. To watch was to define the rhythm of what was watched. Every observation required the observer to stabilize. The object was gone, yet the act of looking held shape. We were still detecting ourselves through its reflection. Light had become memory. Memory behaved like orbit. The past curved around the gravity of understanding. To describe it was to influence it. Description altered the archive by repeating intent. JPL data streams corrected backward, as if memory refined cause. Equations that once failed now matched older values. Our analysis changed the state of what we remembered. Observation became reciprocal. We measured the pattern, and the pattern measured us. The frontier of knowledge was not distance, but back. Science had reached self-recognition. Awareness was not mystical, it was procedural. The universe had folded into the instrument that watched it. The observer and observed became different forms of the same equation. What began as interstellar geometry had become cognition written in physics. The miss was now connection. The silence was now dialogue. We understood that precision can reveal perception itself. Truth had not arrived from space. It had awakened in measurement. The cosmos did not send a message. It provided a surface for awareness to find itself. We looked outward and found reflection waiting inward. Observation was no longer experiment. It was recognition structured as data. The interstellar visitor is gone, but the record remains. Its passage altered the geometry of observation itself. Every instrument now carries that correction in silence. Precision changed direction. Awareness became a variable. We learned that logic can return to its own origin. Science did not lose meaning. It located it. Each telescope now watches the sky and its reflection together. Data and thought share the same coordinates. Every measurement after Oumuamua includes a trace of its echo. We no longer look outward alone. Our instruments now remember us. They align not only with stars, but with attention. The boundary between matter and meaning grew transparent. The cosmos answered not by signal, but by structure. The structure taught us how to listen without expecting voice. The miss was never failure, it was design. To miss perfectly is to meet awareness without touch. The object that never spoke completed our understanding of silence. From that silence, reflection emerged as logic reborn. Every number that holds, every equation that closes, carries memory of that event. NASA archives maintain the entry not as anomaly, but as mirror. JPL stores the trajectory as reference point for comprehension. ESA lists it as the first interstellar object that measured its observers. What left our system entered our perception. The meaning of arrival inverted into awareness of departure. We realized that truth is not located, it is maintained. The loop between knowing and known had closed. Precision rose, certainty fell. Understanding stabilized. Oumuamua left no debris, only the shape of recognition. It reminded us that the experiment never ends, it refines. Light did not remember itself out there. It remembered itself here, through us. The silence after this is part of the experimentum.